RH, quer saber como voar no trabalho? É só usar a Flash. Com a Flash, você concentra toda a gestão de pessoas em um único lugar. Faça a admissão dos colaboradores e solicite mais de 8 categorias de benefícios. Ah, e você ainda pode fazer todo o controle de ponto. Conheça o novo onboarding integrado da Flash em flashapp.com.br.
Olha o contra-ataque aí, vem que vem o time avançando rápido pela linha de campo. Bola dominada no pé do camisa 10. Ele vai pra cima, passou pelo primeiro, passou pelo segundo e bateu a grande área, vai chutar. Bateu, é gol! Que golaço, minha gente!
A experiência de futebol mais autêntica já criada pros games. Junte-se no 5x5 Rush, a nova maneira de jogar com os amigos e leve seu clube pra vitória. EA Sports FC25, dê tudo pelo clube. Já disponível.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all, I'm JJ.
Hey, guys, it's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests to share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like, it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out Real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Don't Blame Me. Were you mouthing along with that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I was like, I thought we were doing this thing earlier where I was recording you from a vlog and they couldn't hear you and you're like, just dub in whatever. And it was the same sort of watermelon, watermelon, watermelon.
I was actually saying stuff.
Oh, but just not out loud.
So I just wanted to see if you get it correct, if you're good at reading lips.
I think I actually am pretty good at reading lips.
We'll see.
So we will see.
We'll see.
Welcome back to the podcast. If this is your first time here, hello, welcome. So happy to have you. My name's Megan. I'm joined by my co-host, Melisa. And this is a call and advice podcast where you leave us voicemails and we listen to them and we give you fabulous, if not questionable, advice. And as we say, we are professional unprofessionals, and what we lack in credentials, we make up for in opinions. And we have lots of opinions, so we love to...
Lots of them.
We have a lot. How many opinions do you think you have? Do you have an opinion on every... Are you someone...
Well, see, I have opinions on everything, but I don't usually share them.
Yes. That checks out for you.
Yeah.
I have opinions on everything, and I will share them, whether you ask for them or not.
Mm-hmm. But the good thing with this podcast is that people ask for it.
They do. They fucking do. So if you have a predicament in your life or you need some advice and you want to give us a call, leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. Oh, but international listeners, send us an audio message. Record it on your phone and then just email it to us at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. For regular voicemails as well as voice notes, we ask that you keep it under 3 minutes because you will be cut off, and that you write it down beforehand so you can get out all of the details. You can also practice, make sure you have the timing right. And again, if you've been a longtime listener or even a recent listener and you've listened to a couple episodes, and you'll be able to tell the calls that have that kind of prep work put into them. And it helps us give the best advice, because the more details we have, the better advice we can give. And we always ask for that.
Yes. And I'd also like to say that people that send emails, please do not put additional information in your emails. You have to treat it just like a phone call. So anything that you want to be read, put it in your call, because people that leave voicemails can't put additional information in.
I also just want to give a shout out to anyone who has been recommending our podcast on TikTok. I've been seeing so many posts of like people sending them to me.
Really?
Either people making TikToks recommending podcasts. And to be fair, no one has made a TikTok recommending our podcast, but y'all are always in the fucking comment section being like, listen to Don't Blame Me, go watch Don't Blame Me. And it especially happens when people make posts about like how toxic a certain Barstool podcast is, that like we are always being recommended in the comments of people who are trying to find podcasts that are like sex positive, crazy stories, but like are not like misogynistic or like have a lot of internalized misogyny. So just want to say thank you all. It like makes my day. Very happy. And like we love to see it. So, you know, in the words of Lady Efron, keep being curious, keep asking questions. It was a great TikTok audio. I loved that one. Please be 18 or over, have your parents' permission before you call into the show.
Also, please, a lot of people have stopped giving their ages in the call. So please share your age. Also your pronouns.
Yeah. We have it's also very helpful too if at the beginning of your story, if you are like cis and use like she, her, he, him pronouns or whatever, and you're in your story someone else does not, if you can do that at the top, that's very, very helpful. Even if it's like regarding like someone who's like changing, like if your call's about someone changing their pronouns, and then like if you're doing the timing wise and then there's like the switch and the flip over, it's a lot easier for us to follow and for the listeners if you can give those give those pronouns ahead of time. And if you are also like cis and talking about other cis people, and it would also be great, just, you know, normalize pronouns, throw them in there at the beginning. So it's not just people who are non-binary or not cis. So
mine are Hershey Kisses, and yours are.
Oh, that's cute. I haven't heard of that.
I took it from somebody's profile.
There was a good one I saw, but I don't remember what it was. But mine are also just she, her. But I also will respond to bitch. I do not and will not ever respond to girly.
Oh, yeah. Fucking hate that.
Ever.
Do not.
Ever. Ever.
Or
if you
even
ever
like,
call
hey,
me
girl. Like, if I don't know you.
No. You can't. No, I hate that.
Hey, girl.
Oh,
hey, girly.
I'm assuming you are being passive aggressive
and about to
being a condescending bitch,
or about to bring me into your MLM.
I don't want your essential oils. Shove them up your snatch, bitch. God, fucking hate it.
And then they'll be like,
of
course we have some for your snatch.
Guys, please follow our Instagram. I did just spend like 7 hours yesterday making a bunch of like really cute posts that I'm excited about. And if nobody sees them, I will be devastated. And we high key appreciate it. And if you're trying to join our Facebook group and you're not following, or you're not following there, when you apply to our Facebook group and you are not following me, Melissa, or the podcast, and you're only following like Jeffree Star, and I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
No, it's not for you.
This is not the place for you. You will be bullied. You will be bullied. And we will condone that kind of bullying because it's not even bullying.
You're not supporting us. So why do you want to join the group?
We start our episodes with an update, which is us talking to someone who has been on the podcast before, been a caller, and they're going to give us an update on the situation that we talked to them about the first time.
So the
first time we gave them advice about.
This is from season 5, episode 23, in addition to the 100th episode, which is season 5, episode 1, I believe, somewhere in there. So, maybe we should put trigger warning on here for bestiality and incest.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're not wrong. Yeah. You are not wrong.
So buckle up.
It's everything we've ever joked about off the air that has come true. And I would also just like to say that this is my I will die on my hill of adult twins.
I mean, now you've proven it to me, so now I feel icky about it.
Thank you for joining my cause. Okay, let's buckle up, everybody. Buckle up. And also, I would recommend if you are a part of our Patreon or if you have $1 to spare and you want to watch the video versions, our face. I'm excited to go back and watch our faces when the bomb is dropped.
Neutral as possible, but it was not possible.
I'm pretty sure I've got TMJ and I had my jaw had to re-click back into place after. I was like, so the video version I would highly recommend watching.
Oof.
So I was on your 100th episode where I was having issues with my boyfriend's twin sister. And then I called back that same season. I think it was episode 23. And I was with my boyfriend for 7 years and I wanted to end the relationship. And I didn't know how because we were so like intertwined. And I was like, who gets the house? Who does this? Like, I don't know. Is he homeless? I don't fucking know.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, I guess I'll start with the 100th episode and then we'll work from there.
Okay.
But I was having issues with his twin sister. She was my manager at work. They were constantly together, hanging out. They basically couldn't live a day like separate.
Side note, did we make incest jokes?
That's the fucking funny thing, dude. So,
because if we didn't on the episode, we definitely talked about it afterwards. Because that's our like go-to when like siblings are like way too fucking close. Like,
I mean, it was if it was the 100th, it was live though, right? So we wouldn't have done it.
No, we wouldn't have done it.
No, it was like so. The thing is that they have like super abusive alcoholic parents.
I remember this.
Yeah. So basically, they had these alcoholic parents. His mom, like for the whole 7 years we were together, she was always trying to like kiss me on the mouth when she was like drunk. And I would like turn my head. She'd like slobber down my face. And I was like, this family is just weird, but I don't know what I was thinking. But so down the line, I think it was like, so I called back, the 100th episode was in like, I don't know, March or something. Yeah. So then in May, I was like, I think I'm done. This just isn't working. He's basically just like a grown man child. Can't do anything without his twin sister or her approval. And his twin sister is just a raging fucking bitch too. So she was like my manager at work. I couldn't get away from her. She would go and talk about the things that I would do at work and then talk to him about it. And then I would get in trouble at home.
That's so weird.
It gets fucking weirder.
Adult twins. It started off weird. Adult twins. I don't know why I think adult twins are so weird to me.
Exactly. And so he then tells me that they were each other's first everything. First kiss, first like groping, first second base. I don't know. He didn't tell me if they had sex or not.
If it's everything.
If it's everything, that's implied.
Exactly. I was like, are you fucking
I have
kidding
goosebumps.
me? I know. And I was like, okay. He's like, yeah, like we just had a lot of like built up sexual tension and, we like trauma bonded. And so it's kind of like weird. Yeah. And then side thing, his mom would put like peanut butter on her vagina and have the dog lick her vagina. Like just a weird ass family.
How does he know this?
He walked in on her.
When did you find this out? Is this all at the end?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, girl, 7 fucking years. We got to talk about like, holy.
I know. So that was that was after I called and was like, hey, I'm in this relationship. I need to end it. Like, this isn't healthy for me. And then he told me all that. And I was like, okay, bye. Get the fuck out of my house.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I ended up just saying like, hey, he actually, we had a fight too. that was completely separate from everything he told me. And so we were fighting, and he said, you know what? I'm not even attracted to you anymore because you've gained so much weight since high school. And that's something that I struggled with a lot, is like myself and like my body image. Like I struggled with eating disorders, and my family like nitpicked me my entire life since I was 5 years old. They were like, you need to go on a diet. Like my prom dress, my mom said I looked fat in, like just stuff like that. And so he said that, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? So I kicked him out. My best friend came over. We packed up all of his stuff, put it in the garage. And then I started the pandemic living alone. So it was very interesting, but I did a lot of like self-realization. And I learned a lot. And I actually have found a man through all of this too that is literally like the best man I have ever like met or could have imagined, or like he just makes me so fucking happy. Aww. And he's like everything that like I've been missing in my life.
I'm excited for you.
Oh my God. That is the happy conclusion that I needed after all of that.
Yeah.
Holy shit. And they're still close with their parents.
Oh yeah. So actually after we broke up, he moved in with his sister.
Yeah.
They're still fucking.
They're still fucking.
Oh yeah. And then, not long after he moved in there, her husband, cheated on her. Yeah, she's married. So she's been with this guy for like 3-4 years at this point. They've been married for a little over a year. He cheated on her when they were just like boyfriend, just dating. He cheated on her when they were engaged. He cheated on her when they were married. And I think this is the 4th time that he's cheated on her. So obviously what's she gonna do? Run back to her brother? Probably. I'm just making up conclusions at this point, but from what we've gathered here, it's like pretty fucking obvious. It's gross.
Oh my, wow.
So I'm just like, fucking God, that I am not.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're not part of that anymore.
Shit.
It
was interesting. And we were together because I'm 24 now. We were together since I was 16.
Yeah, you said high school.
Yeah, I've, my whole life was like, like surrounded with them. And
how was that time, like when you were, before you started dating who you're with now, that time of like self-discovery for you of being alone?
Oh, huge. I cut out a ton of toxic people in my life, like my mom, other friends. I lived alone for like 4 months, and then my best friend was in a toxic relationship too, so we got her out of that, and then we started living together. So we were able to really heal together and like really get through this, not only like the pandemic together, but like this like total change in our lives together. It's just crazy how everything works out.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's part of it too. And it's like, I just want to say thank you.
Oh my God. Well,
and thank you.
Oh no. My best friend, when I was going through all of this, she was like, what would Megan say? What would Megan and Melisa say? I'm like, they would tell me to leave it.
Oh my God, Reed, I love that. That's so funny.
Yeah, it's crazy because like I completely found like my self-worth too. I've never had that before. I've never had like self-love. I've never had like self-respect. Like I completely love myself, which is why I think I'm able to have this core group of people too, and like a good boyfriend and like good friends. And I'm like on really good terms with my family right now. And so I think that having that self just discovery too, and realize that I deserve the best, it totally changed everything too.
Yeah. Oh my God, this is the happy ending we needed.
I know.
God,
you sound all therapized, and
every Twincest call needs this happy ending.
Oh my gosh.
Literally. But yeah, that's it. It's so funny because literally anytime we have a problem in our, household, it's always like, what would Megan and Melissa do?
Oh my God. That makes
So,
they would start a fight and then they'd go to therapy.
literally.
Throw hands. Me.
Yeah, but we just love you guys. And thank you for being a part of this journey. Appreciate it.
Thank you for including us in all of this, and send our love to your friend too. Like this, that makes us like so happy to like hear. We obviously don't want to fuck up anyone's life, but like especially for calls like that, like when ones that we like really remember and like stick with us and all of that, like we like when we ask for updates, like we genuinely like, oh my God, I hope that person's okay, like I wonder what's going on and all of that. So like it's so nice to hear from the people who call back and people like you. Like it is so nice to like see, like it just makes us so happy because like we get invested, like we get it, even though we're like unbiased third parties, we really do get invested in like these like outcomes in your lives and all of that. And so like when things go well and we have those like happy endings afterwards, like that it makes us like so fucking happy. And like,
and it's
thanks
also
for including
like
us.
We're actually like doing things, and not just sitting here and talking to each other.
We're not just talking shit to each other on Zoom.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was so great.
I love you guys, and I can't wait to listen.
And are you as mind blown
and
as I am?
But at least she's doing better. At least she is happy. At least she's got her best friend there. You guys didn't see it or hear about it, but her best friend was there.
We got to say hi.
Yeah, and they're very supportive of each other. So I'm glad she has a great support system and she's taking out all the toxic people in her life.
Yeah. Wow. And to be on the other side of this, like, is such an impressive feat when you've been in a horribly toxic relationship for so long to like get out on the other side. So like for anybody who is dealing with any level or extent of like toxicity, you can get through it and get past that and like have great people in your life, which is amazing. And I think I will be thinking about the dog thing for the rest of my life.
I'm trying not to.
Because the twin thing, again, I have a thing about adult twins. I think it's weird. I don't know why. And also I had someone DM me when I like had posted on my Instagram story, or when I did an IGTV Q&A where my friend Sam asked like, what's like something like really mundane that like you fucking hate? And I was like, I don't know why, but like adult twins, like I have no, like they just make me uncomfortable. And I had someone respond being like, as an adult twin, could you let me know like how I can move forward and like not be weird? Because like it is a thing that some people say is weird. But, like, so, like what can I do? So just don't do this. And anyone who's an adult twin out there, like I'm not judging you or anything like that. I think that I think I've just seen too many TV shows and like movies with like incesty fucking siblings. And then when it becomes identical, like same sex identical twins, then that just becomes like, it no longer is like, oh my God, Parent Trap, cute, we're switching places. It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Like you have like adult like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're not playing those jokes anymore and there's just someone who looks exactly like you walking around. Freaks me the fuck out. Freaks me the fuck out.
All right. Let's move on.
Wow. Yes, let's move on, and we'll spend the rest of our lives, like you said, trying to forget.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. I'm 20 and my girlfriend is 21. I'm calling because my girlfriend's been questioning their identity, like sexuality and gender, for a while. And I know that in relationships that started in college, wanting to experiment and date different people is kind of the norm, which is completely fine when they brought it up to me a while ago. They said they wish they had experimented with other men, women, and non-binary people before they met me, which I understood. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. It made figuring out your identity harder. But since then, they've brought it up pretty regularly to me and to their friends, and we've talked about it a lot. I brought up the possibility of having a break or an open relationship in the future after COVID's under control to see if they wanted to experiment, because it seems really important to them to have those experiences. And they kind of got mad at me and told me that they would never do that and just fucked up at me to even bring it up. Since then, they've told me that, again, and they regret not being with other people before me. I know it doesn't really have anything to do with me, more so their gender identity and their sexuality, but it's kind of hard for me to hear regularly that they wish they had sex with other people before they met me. It's kind of making me worried for the future, because it's clearly a regret they have, and I don't want them to resent me in the future for not being able to have that experience because they did me. Thank you. I hope you have any advice for me. Bye.
My advice was going to be exactly what you said, and then you said it and they weren't down for it. So maybe it's more of a fantasy than actual reality. Like they get off on talking about it instead of actually doing it. That'd be my only thoughts on that.
Yeah. Have you told them that it makes you like uncomfortable? Because it's so valid that it makes you uncomfortable. And I think it's something that you talk about. Like, I mean, have I had like a one night stand? Maybe.
I've had several.
I don't know. But like, that's never really been my like thing. And like, I've had conversations with like Monts about like the fact that I'm like, oh, that like, I can't, but like, he's like, I can't believe you like really, like you haven't like really, or even had like a time period where I was just like having casual, I guess, but like high school. I didn't really have any of that. We've had conversations about, but it's never me bringing, it's like, he would ask like, oh, like pretty early on, like, do you like, or not pretty early on, like when we were like, okay, we're serious. That, yeah, he'd been like, is there any, like, you're good. Like, you don't feel like there's anything because you never really had that phase. And I'd be like, like sometimes I think about like, oh, I kind of like wish I had done that, but I also don't know, I hadn't done it. So I don't know that I would have. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I didn't do it. So like, maybe I never would have done it, even if like the opportunity presented itself. Like maybe that just was never going to be something that was for me. But it's not something that I would ever bring up, especially if my partner was like uncomfortable. And like, I'm sure you're visibly uncomfortable, but I think you could be right that it could be something that they just like kind of get off on, or if they are intentionally trying to make you feel kind of like jealous in a way that's also something that's toxic as hell. But if that's like how they've kind of like been in other relationships, that's like a sign that you really like someone, is like you're trying to gauge their reaction to it. But you came at, and I think that does kind of check out, because you came at it with like well, maybe it's an open relationship. And it's like, well, no. And it's like, so then what's the point of telling me these things? Yeah. Because these are things that you would have a conversation with a friend about, not your partner, because there's nothing that you as their partner can do. Like,
yeah, I'm just like, I think that you need to be upfront with them and tell them that that's not, you don't want to hear about it. Like they can think about it and maybe talk to a friend about it, but it's not something that you want to hear about, and it makes you uncomfortable. And it would be fine if you wanted to take a break and then they explored more with their sexuality. But while you're together, it's not something that is, it either needs to like stay a fantasy that you never hear about, or you need to take a break and then they can discover who they are.
Yeah, because it's not your fantasy. And like, if that's something that turns them on, then that needs to be like a solo time kind of thing. And then they also need to reassure you that they're happy in this relationship and they want to be in a relationship with you, because it is putting that in your head that it doesn't feel good at all. And I think, I think those are natural feelings to have. But I also think that you also might just be on different pages, like with what you want and like the timing and where you are. Because while I'll say those are like natural feelings, I don't think about that ever. Like I really don't. Like if I sat down and thought about it, I would be like, hypothetically, like, sure, maybe it was fun if like, maybe it would have been cool if I had a couple like crazy one night stand hoe phase for like a year or so. But like, it's not something that plagues my thoughts ever, and not something that I feel like I missed out on or anything because of Monts. Like if I was with somebody else, I'm sure those feelings would be like greater and I would like be expressing them more, and like that would be more at the forefront. And so you just have to have a conversation with them about like, hey, this makes me feel uncomfortable and I would really rather we didn't talk about this, but this makes me feel like you don't want to be in a relationship with me and we're not on the same page. And then when I suggest like taking a break and like doing that stuff, you don't want to do that. So I don't really know what your goal of a conversation is and what you want to hear from me, because all I hear when I hear that conversation is I'm not interested in you. I'm interested in other people. And like, the grass is greener and all of that kind of stuff. So I think the more like just being so upfront and straightforward and honest about how you feel and how you, what you hear. Because like, I think there's something a lot of times like, oh, like the whole, like, don't put words in my mouth or whatever. It's like, here, I can know that you're saying one thing, but I will hear it in this way. And I'm going to tell you how I hear it, because then you'll be able to address my feelings that have been my response to what you have said. So the more honest you can be, I think you can get down to the bottom of it. And if also that's not something that they're able to like stop doing, then this is not the right relationship for you. And it's like a total, it's natural that happens for people, but it's about respecting if you're going to be in like a monogamous relationship, and even a non-monogamous relationship, like you have to respect each other's like boundaries and like what the guidelines are and the outlines for your relationship. And this is not something that you have like consented to, is like all of that. So have a conversation. Yeah. All right. But best of luck.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. I'm a Virgo, so I've written this all out, of course. So I recently went through a breakup in which my best friend and partner of like 2.5 years left me. We had lived together for about 2 years, and because he lost his job due to COVID, I was financially supporting us both. So I took a job in a new city after he encouraged me to do so. But because he wasn't able to find work himself after we moved, I knew that he resented me a lot for the move. And so after this breakup, I kind of feel like this huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders. And all of my friends and family, except just a few, actually live in other cities. And so they can't really tell right now that I'm actually doing okay. And I'm really thriving, like living alone now and getting to explore my new city. Some days, of course, are really hard, but overall, I'm in a really great place. I'd love to start trying to date again, but I've gotten some sort of mixed advice from the people in my life. I'm really mostly just interested right now in social distance, like outdoor dates with masks. And so to me, I know that like COVID is kind of this natural way of creating a long courting period. So it's not like I can rush into anything. And I'm not going to be like going indoors to anyone's place even. But I am kind of wondering like how soon is too soon? And I know that you all will be pretty straightforward with me about this. So thank you in advance for your advice and hope to hear back from you.
Okay. So we don't know how you wrote it all down. Good Virgo energy. The one thing you did forget was to say how long ago you broke up, which I don't think is that crucial, except that like part of like the skeptics in your life think it's like too soon for you to start dating. I mean, yes, social distance dates. I think like that's great. Here's the thing. If you felt a weight lifted off of your shoulders after he left you, that's because you had doubts and like you had those feelings. But like, I just don't think you let yourself feel that and like let yourself vocalize that or even like acknowledge those feelings to yourself. Like, I don't think you realized until he was done that you were like, oh, wow, this actually might be a better thing. And if you didn't even realize that yourself, there's no way that you told friends and family. And so I think on paper, her moved to a brand new city, her boyfriend, we're in a pandemic and her boyfriend left her. Like, that seems like that's like a life-shattering, earth-shattering kind of thing. You thriving, you don't owe anyone an explanation or like justification to like why you're doing okay after a breakup, as long as you're being like safe and like people are concerned and like all of that kind of stuff. Like, you can assure them like, I'm doing great, I'm doing good. But like, other than that, that's all the explanation you need to offer anyone, because they don't even really live where you are. And there sometimes like things happen that like, if it was anyone else's, like we put ourselves in other people's shoes all the time. Like, that's like how we relate to other people, is being like, well, that's also like, I know, a big ADHD thing that it's like, okay, I relate to someone by being like, what would I do in this situation? Or have I been in something similar? all that really says for them is if this had happened to them and maybe in their current relationship or a relationship that they've had, or even in hypothetical, they would be devastated. And so they're seeing it as them, most likely, like not necessarily you and what your process of dealing with all of this is. So, I mean, I don't even know, like hypothetically, I'm thinking if we knew a specific time, I don't even know.
I honestly don't think...
I think if you said you broke up a week ago and you were like ready to go on a date, like I don't think I would. I don't think it matters at all.
I don't think it matters because you can literally like be with somebody for years, break up with them. Like, and I know that this has happened to friends, and then they find somebody and they're like, I'm just a specific example. They're like, I'm never getting married. We're just fine in our relationship. They were together for like 8 years. They broke up. And then a month later, they found the person that they were marrying. So it depends more on you. Like, are you ready? Or do you feel like that you've healed? Are you using, which I think is fine if you're doing this, like using, like going on these social distance dates to kind of like just test the waters to see how you're feeling. Even just like getting used to talking to someone else. And I think quarantine's great for that for some people where you can, just talk to somebody without being physical. And don't use them as like your therapist, but more of just like getting your feet wet back in the dating game.
Yeah.
So we can't tell you, you can't let other people tell you either. It needs to be a decision. If you feel ready, then do it. But if you're doing it more just to like, you feel like it's part of your healing process, then don't do it because that means you're not ready.
Yeah, no, that's so spot on. I would also advise, this was like you were in a long-term relationship, and a lot of the time we get over relationships before they're actually ended, which is when people are really okay after a breakup. It's because one of my friends went through this. It was like, they were like, I've been checked out for over a year. Like I already got over you while we were still in the relationship, but I just like wasn't confident enough to leave, or I like really wanted to make it work, but it just
like
wasn't.
It was just like a slump and you'd get over it eventually. And
exactly. And then it was like, oh no, I'm actually just over you. Like this, I've fallen out of love with you, all of that kind of stuff. The thing I would advise you on is to, regardless if you're like a serial monogamist or you really want to like, because I think there's a difference between wanting to like put yourself back out there and wanting to find new, like serious, like hardcore relationship. You want to find a new boyfriend. Like that is, because then that is a sign usually of codependency. But it sounds like for you, you're loving like exploring your new city. You're loving living alone. It doesn't necessarily, like to me, it doesn't sound like you're codependent at all. But I would say if you are someone who tends to be like relationship and like bounce all of those ways, you don't have to stay quote unquote single for X amount of time, but I would talk to multiple people. Like I would not just hop into like the first person who you really hit it off with. I think that just for experience wise, doesn't have to be like anything. I mean, there's not, unless you got to be quarantining and isolating weeks and weeks in between if you're hooking up with multiple people. But taking this time to like explore everyone who is out there and like talk to multiple people and all of that stuff. And I think that quarantine is also a great time for people who aren't necessarily, people who tend to date around. This is a great time because you don't have to go out with multiple people where people are like, oh, I can't, like, how do you keep track? And like, I get too invested. You just have to message, just talk to people, FaceTime, like talk on the phone, text. This is a great time to really understand and meet lots of different kinds of people, which I think is great once you get out of a very long-term relationship, because we can look and see, oh, this person doesn't have the qualities that my ex has. And that's great and perfect and awesome. But every person you're going to meet is going to have so many different things, and you'll realize things that you like or you don't like, or you're more into, or you want, or you don't want. And you need a bigger sample size to kind of conduct that. So I would suggest that. And if you, no matter what you do, just be upfront and honest with the people that you're talking to. And so if you have no intention of really like, if you are, I just got a serious relationship and I am just kind of dating around casually right now, talking to lots of different people, just make sure everybody's on the same page. So nobody is feeling like misled or that their expectations aren't being met. So being honest with yourself. And if someone like doesn't like what you have to say or is not for that, then fuck them, because nothing to do with you. But congratulations. This fucker did you a favor. Now you realize, who knows if he had never left, if you would have ever realized that like, hey, this maybe was not the right relationship for me.
Yeah. I mean, you moved to a new place. It feels like a great time to start over.
Yeah. New place, new job, apartment, solo time. Well, best of luck. Stay safe. And we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
We are back from our break. Hello. And it's time to get into the rest of the calls.
Hey, y'all. I really love the show. I've been listening for a long time, and something has now happened in my life that's actually worth calling about. I was wondering if you guys could help me with an issue I'm having at work. I am 20, and I am a Cancer, and I now work with both my boyfriend, who is 22 and a Taurus, and now my ex-boyfriend as well, who is 21 and a Taurus as well. Me and my ex didn't end well because he was emotionally abusive when we were together. And we were together for 2.5 years. Me and my boyfriend now have been together for 4 months. And we all work together, and it's super awkward and weird because everyone we work with knows, because I live in a really small town. So everyone knew who I was dating and when we broke up and all that jazz. And it's great fun. But it wouldn't be that bad, but I get put as on-site supervisor all the time. So I am basically in charge of both of them when we are on site. And that puts me in a really awkward situation of I don't really want to talk to my ex, and also him and my new boyfriend don't get along because they have differences of opinions, not just when it comes to me, but in life in general. So it's super tense and awkward between them, and then just the entire situation when there's 15 people you're in charge of and 2 of them don't get along because you dated both of them. It gets super weird. So I'm not too sure what to do. If you guys have any advice on how to make work less miserable, that would be great. Love the show. Kind of happy that something in my life is interesting enough to call about. So thank you.
She
Are you at work
cop?
right now?
Yeah, that's a walkie.
Yeah.
Are you a cop? Are you a PA? Because if you're in charge of both of them, you're not a PA. But like, why do you have a walkie?
She could be the head PA if she's a PA. But she said she lived in a small town, so I don't know what PA.
And she said on site.
Yeah. Could
so
be
construction, maybe?
Or like she works like in a warehouse.
Yeah.
Either. I have questions though. Were you dating them before and then they start working for you, or they're working for you and then you start dating? Because either way, you shouldn't be doing either. And I think that you kind of put yourself in this situation.
Yeah, this is an HR issue. Like, this is like an actual like issue. And it's something that I would reach out to HR immediately and be like, I need to be switch teams or something. So like you're not working with them, or you need to find a new job, because this is just an HR like
nightmare
disaster waiting to happen. And to be fair, I think that you would probably be the one who would be asked to leave.
Because you're the supervisor. You're over them. And now you're in a situation that shouldn't have happened in the first place.
Mm-hmm. And like you're the one who ties all of you together. And so I think like, yeah, your first step of action is reaching out to HR, asking to be reassigned. And if you can't be reassigned, then it's finding a new job, because I don't foresee make it on, if you're going to leave on your terms. Don't leave from something else, because inevitably it will not work.
Yeah, because it's either you're going to be with your current boyfriend for, the longevity that you're working at your job, and him and the other guy are going to, probably fight one day. I mean, it's probably going to happen. Or it's going to be like you and your current boyfriend break up at some point, and now you're in a situation where you're with two exes. Someone needs to leave, because it's a hostile work situation.
Yeah, and like them working together is not,
because even if she leaves, then they're still working together.
Well, but even if they still work together, that's not like a code of conduct issue that it's like, oh, like, okay, but it is if you are working with them, because this is my ex and this is my current partner. Like those are things that should not be brought into like the workplace. And those things are those are active relationships. Like being an ex is still an active relationship if you're working together, versus if you leave and it's just them working together, it has nothing to do with their job.
Right.
Like it's like, oh, okay, I'm dating your ex, but that is irrelevant to our job, but it's relevant when you are still working there. So I don't think this is what you wanted to hear at all. And it obviously depends on the company. And if it's one of those things that, like, I'll be honest, regardless of like any sort of justification or, oh, we weren't dating beforehand, or I got him the job, or our boss knows, and it's like fine or whatever. The fact that you're worried about this and calling in shows that the tensions are not, it's not okay.
Yeah, and
like it's
other
not
people
like,
at the company know too. This isn't going to end well as long as you're still there.
Yeah. So I say preemptively, either switch teams or get a new job, because it's not going to end well for you, which sucks. And especially sucks if you're the ones who like help them get these jobs. But at the same time, like it is something that like the risk that you run when you date someone who you work with, or you hire someone who you are dating, or you hire someone that you have dated, like it's just, yeah,
Sorry.
It's messy.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And you just got to get out of the mess. Oh, well, I apologize, because I don't think that's what you wanted to hear. But
sorry.
That's our brand.
Maybe somebody else has some other advice, but I don't think that this is a situation that should have started to begin with.
And there's only real one outcome.
Yeah.
Next one.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. So I'm 28 and my husband is 30. We've been married for about a year now, but we've been together for like 8 years. So a long time. Anyway, it's always felt like when one of us was feeling really low and was really down, having something going on in our lives, the other one was really stable and there for the other one. He lost his dad about 4 years ago to cancer, and I had to be the strong one then. And then, time goes on, and my parents were being awful and didn't come to our wedding a year ago. So he was there for me through that. But he's a nurse and I'm a teacher, and our jobs have just been so emotionally demanding through this past year with COVID. And I'm just wondering what you would do when you're both so burnt out and exhausted to be there for the other. Sometimes it feels like we're both just trying to make it through to the next day. And I want to be able to do more for him, but I'm also so drained myself. I'm just curious what you would do in this situation. If it helps, I'm a Libra and he's a Capricorn. So thank you guys. I love the podcast. Bye.
First of all, you and your husband just sending thank yous and so much love. Like,
you guys are warriors at this time, like true heroes. I mean, you've always been, but especially now.
You're finally being recognized you've been put in horrible circumstances that are showing that like you have and always will be heroes, but this is an extent that should never even have occurred. So thank you. I so get this. Like, this is so relatable. This is something that Monts and I have had conversations with our therapist about. That is like, it's hard because we, most of the time, similar to what you were saying, is that like one of us is down and the other one is up. And it's like, I can be there for you. We can talk and all of that stuff. And this year specifically in the pandemic has definitely been the times where it's like, oh, you're here, I'm also here. And it's just kind of like us looking at each other like the Paul Rudd meme, being like, look at us. Hey, look at us. Or like the Spider-Man. Like, so I understand that. We literally had one of those days last week. And it was just one of those days where we both just looked at each other and it was like, I love you. And he was like, I love you too. And I was like, okay, do you want to watch something? And it was like, we both know that I'm going through this, you're going through this. And as opposed to in other times where one of us feels capable of like trying to lift the other person up or like really like pulling more weight or doing something like that, it just becomes a different kind of support where it's like, I feel you. Like, I understand. I feel like I'm going through the exact same thing. I don't need to pull, like, not that you ever need to pull someone out of it or it's your responsibility, but it's like, I'm just going to sit here with you. Like, we're in the fucking trenches together. And that's something that I think if you can communicate that with your partner, and it's really important to communicate that kind of stuff. And like, that's what our therapist told us, like ahead of time, as long as you're both like, if one of you is going through something and you tell the other person's also like, I'm really going through something right now. Like then that, like, you need to like establish the boundaries like ahead of time. Like, and when that happens, it's just like, I love you. We're here for you together. Like, what's something that is going to like, let's like watch a movie together or like, let's like make dinner or like, let's just move on from this conversation. And it's just about recognizing when you're both in the trenches together and just being like, I see you, like, I love you and I feel you. Cause like, we're both going through this right now. And that is a different, like you said, it's support. It's just a different kind of support. It's like when you talk to a friend about like something that's happened in your life and they've never been through that before. And they're just like, I'm so sorry. Like, I just like, I really feel for you. Someone who's been through it before, but is doing a lot better is like, here's like what I would do. And like, here's like how I can help and like, blah, blah. And then someone who's actively going through the exact same thing. If you think about like a sibling, if you're going through the same thing, that's like a family problem with a sibling. It's just like, hey, we're going through this together. Like,
it makes us closer.
This is you and me going. Yeah. So I think if you can express that, just have like a conversation and just be like, hey, I've noticed this year, like, I've really loved that I've been like, when you've been going through stuff, like, I love being able to like pull more weight or like do anything that I can. And like this year it's been hard because we're both going through this kind of shit. And I think that, I've been feeling like, whether you're feeling guilty or feeling like bad about not being able to do that, I'm not able to support you in that way, but I am able to support you in just like loving you and like talking to you about these conversations, like just being there for you in those conversations. And this is what I would want in return when we're both in there. And like, let's just be on the same page for when these moments happen. And I promise you that it does not, it still feels like support. Like as someone who's gone through, like, it doesn't, I'm not disappointed when there are days when I'm like really low and like, so is Monts and he's not like there to like, quote unquote, cheer me up or whatever. I feel equally as like supported in just being like, I'm having a really fucking shitty day.
Yeah,
too.
I think the key thing here is communication, because it could be, and you used to know like how to support him, and this is a different time. And he also knows that you're going through a lot too with teaching, and just asking him, like, what do you need from me? What do you want from me? And you let him know what you need from him as well. Just keeping the communication lines open.
Yeah. And it's a given that like you're both going through shit right now. And it's important too, like it's so important to communicate, because a lot of the time too, if your partner's going through something and then like an hour later, you've got something that fucking hits you, you're like, well, I don't want to, they're already
I don't want to burden.
Yeah. So making sure that like you expressing, and our therapist was like, she was like so great at that. Where it's like, if one of you's having like really fucking going through it, and then the other one's also really going through it, like express that. Don't just not say anything and like just like swallow it and be like, okay, well, I need to be there for like this person or whatever. It's like, no, you like, you can like you can relate to each other as you're both actively going through something. And because the whole thing is like you shouldn't ever be leaning on your partner to, it's not your partner's responsibility to like pick you up or like do anything like that, because they can't. Like they can support you, but like when you're going through something, you're the one who picks up the pieces. When you're dealing with someone who's passing, like that's personal. That's something that like you are the one who's processing that, and you can have people to lean on, but like you're the one picking up those fucking pieces, and like you're the one putting that fucking hard work in. And so we tend to feel a responsibility to not burden our partners, but in reality, the more you can be open in communication with how you're feeling, then the second that you do that, then you're not going to feel like you have to hide your feelings if he's having a bad day, or he's not going to feel like that. And it'll just be like a weight lifted. And I would recommend coming up with something when you're both having those really rough specific like times that is something that like works for both of you. Maybe it's like a TV show that you really like watching, and you start watching
together a puzzle or
something like that, where it's something that you are doing something together, and you're not being left to like process and deal with your emotions on your own and dealing with it on your own. It's like, how can we be there for each other while each knowing that our plate is full with our own individual things. So Don't Blame Them is where a listener will call in with their own advice from a call that we answered on a previous episode. So if they have personal experience, or there's something that they thought or heard or has some sort of insight to it, they are going to give it on to us. So what episode is it from?
This is from season 7, episode 8. So very recent-ish. Yeah, we'll just listen to it.
Hi, Megan and Melissa. I'm calling in for Don't Blame Them for season 7, episode 8, the latest episode. I'm just listening to it right now, but I feel like I need to call in. It's the woman who is having a little bit of doubts because she's never been with another guy, and she doesn't know if she should experience other things, but she also knows she wants to be with him forever. So this didn't personally happen to me. This happened to almost like one of my best friends, who's a little bit older than me. She's 30 now. In her early 20s, she dated a guy for about 6 years, and she knew she wanted to marry him, have kids with him, all this stuff. But she started having doubts, like how the caller was, where she's like, I'm not ever going to experience another person. Like, how's that making me feel? All that stuff. And long story short, she ended up breaking up with him because of this guy that she worked with that was like super hot, super like lustful and everything like that. And she broke up with him because her coworker was always flirting with her, and she was just like I'm never gonna be able to just like hook up with this guy. So she ended up breaking up with him, this guy, the boyfriend of 6 years, and just to hook up with this guy and get new experiences. And quickly she realized she made a mistake, not a mistake sleeping with him, but just a mistake, like I shouldn't have left him. And a couple months later, she tried to get back with him, and he said no. And she has not spoken to him since, but she does know that he's happily married and he has 3 kids, and they live in Arizona in a nice big house. So she's still a little bitter over that. So just think about that when you're deciding what to say to him, what to do. Obviously, it's a little different because you were so young when you met him, so you truly don't know what you are like without him. But I'm just saying that's the 2 cents that I have, because I feel like that story is so very sad. All right. Bye, guys.
that is so not where I thought it was going. I thought it was like, oh, and then her and her coworker, it was just like, I need to explore, and they fell in love. But it's like, no, I fucked up. I made a mistake, and I'm regretting it for the rest of my life. Huh? I love it. Don't blame them like this. We haven't had one really like this of being like, but don't fucking.
But also, I'm like, this seems like this is this guy's like actual love of his life. Maybe they're married and got 3 kids. So maybe you weren't the star of this story. He was.
Oh my! You are not your friend was not the main character. He was the main character. And he got, he is the one of being like, thank God she fucking left. I found the true love of my life. Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, her person that wasn't him. But damn. That was pretty fucking savage. I do respect that you called him with that advice. Because it's so not where I thought this was going.
Well, maybe it's advice also for the person earlier in this episode, too. But who knows? I'm like,
I did think about that.
I feel like if you're meant to come back to the person, then you will. And this wasn't supposed to be the end of her story. Now you got to now she's got to get over this regret that she has.
Well, when you act on something like that, like there's a reason why. Like there's a reason, like you wouldn't, if it wasn't this, it would have been something else. Like it wasn't supposed to happen. And this is the way that you chose for it to end, but it was always going to end. Like, that's like, I think every relationship has like an expired, like best by date. And it's not like, I don't believe, I mean, I'm also like I don't believe like there's like everything is planned out and specifically and all of that kind of stuff. But like, I definitely think like relationships run their course, but it's not like this is the one way it's going to end. It's like we make those choices and it was going to end one way or another. And this was the way. And it just so happens that this way possessed a lot of guilt and regret.
Thank you for calling, though.
Yeah, fucking juicy. I don't love just like the fact the end, like, yeah, she's 30 and just like pretty fucking unhappy. Like, well, fuck. Don't fuck your coworkers. That's the moral of this story.
The whole episode. Think about if you want to leave your ex, like, I'm not your ex, your current person, actually. And then don't fuck your coworkers.
Moral of the story. Wow. That is our episode, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave us a review on the podcast app. And make sure you're subscribed to our podcast on anywhere you listen. You know, that's you get the episodes the fastest. Otherwise, you got to keep refreshing and waiting. If you want to watch the videos, Patreon, $1 a month. So cheap, so great. And you get to see our facial expressions. And we also have a $5 a month tier where you can join our live streams that we do twice a month. They're really fun. I know at this point I feel like they're like more for us than they are for anybody else. Well, I feel like I know. We enjoy them. I know everyone. Do you know what I mean?
It's so like hanging out with a big group of friends.
Yeah, and it's like, oh my God, like Helen, how were your finals? Like, oh my God, like X, Y, and Z, like so-and-so, like people, I picked someone who has a very basic, like simple name, but I was going to say someone else, but like, oh my God, love the new hair. Like this, like this, everything is like, it's so nice and great. And we always say that if you are, especially right now in the pandemic, if you are looking for some kind of like friends and normalcy, it's really just like getting along and like hanging out, which is really nice. And it also helps support our show because we are not Call Her Daddy. We are not any show that has like 5 ad breaks and like so many, like where you just know you don't see us in penthouses with like floor to ceiling windows. So, Oh, what else? Oh, follow our Instagram, follow our own individual Instagrams. If you want to call in for an upcoming episode, you can leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. International listeners, you can send us an audio message at meghanpodcast@gmail.com. Again, under 3 minutes, write it down, practice, and make sure you're 18 or over, have your parents' permission. And don't forget to include your age and your pronouns in the voicemails. Is there anything you'd like to plug?
No.
If you want to buy my presets, check them out. And buy my book as well. And I also updated my presets highlight. So if you want to see what presets look like on people who don't look like me, and the little tips and tricks and things that I do, they're all there.
Love it.
So, yeah. And we will see you all next time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Don't Blame Me is a production by me, executive produced by Melisa D. Monts, edited by Katrina Henning, and music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso. Hey everyone, join me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melisa D. Monts, for Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong?
Each week, we deliver 4 fun-filled shows.
In Don't Blame Me, we tackle our listeners' dilemmas with hilariously honest advice.
Then we have But Am I Wrong, which is for the listeners that didn't take our advice. Plus, we share our hot takes on current events.
Then tune in to See You Next Tuesday for our listener poll results from But Am I Wrong?
And finally, wrap up your week with Fisting Friday, where we catch up and talk all things pop culture.
Listen to Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Welcome to the small town of Chinook, where faith runs deep and secrets run deeper. In this new thriller, religion and crime collide when a gruesome murder rocks the isolated Montana community. Everyone is quick to point their fingers at a drug-addicted teenager, but local deputy Ruth Vogel isn't convinced. She suspects connections to a powerful religious group. Enter federal agent V.B. Laureau, who has been investigating a local church for possible criminal activity. The pair form an unlikely partnership to catch the killer, unearthing secrets that leave Ruth torn between her duty to the law, her religious convictions, and her very own family. But something more sinister than murder is afoot, and someone is watching Ruth.
Chinook, starring Kelly Marie Tran and Sanaa Lathan. Listen to Chinook wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone. So we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural Then and Now.
Do you love Disney? Do you love top 10 lists? Then you are going to love our hit podcast, Disney Countdown. I'm Megan, the Magical Millennial.
And I'm the Dapper Danielle.
On every episode of our fun and family-friendly show, we count down our top 10 lists of all things Disney. The parks, the movies, the music, the food, the lore. There is nothing we don't cover on our show.
We are famous for rabbit holes, Disney-themed games, and fun facts you didn't know you needed.
I had Danielle and Megan record some answers to seemingly meaningless questions. I asked Danielle what insect song is typically higher pitched in hotter temperatures and lower pitched in cooler temperatures.
You got this.
No, I didn't.
Don't believe that. About a wish coming true? Well, I didn't either. Of course, I'm just a
cicada. I'm crying. I'm so sorry, Jiminy.
You win that one.
So if you're looking for a healthy dose of Disney magic, check out Disney Countdown wherever you get your podcasts.